So that you
Okay.
can turn your light on.
Okay, call the meeting to order. Kevin, you do the roll call.
Okay, well, we have 3 members present, which constitutes a quorum. And we have 1 member who we're expecting to join us via Zoom. And we have Diana Goldhammer and Susan Charks who are excused.
Okay, thank you. Item number 3, approval of the agenda. Does anyone have any additions or corrections to the agenda as printed?
I do not.
Okay.
Nope.
Seeing none, we'll ask for approval of the agenda.
I
So moved.
move to approve the agenda.
I'll second it.
Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Carried. Looking at approval of the minutes from the March meeting. Is it March?
No, May.
No, May. I knew I was
May
wrong.
21st meeting.
I didn't see anything that needed correcting.
Neither did I.
Seeing none, I'll request approval of the minutes from the May meeting.
I'll move that we approve the minutes.
I think
Second.
the two of you are going to get in the minutes a lot tonight.
Oh, boy.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. On to the director's report. Kevin?
Okay, I have a written director's report. The only thing that I will add in under the staffing section is we finished interviews for the open full-time position, and as of this morning, it's filled. Megan Davids, who is a current city employee at the landfill, is going to be switching to the library. And so she'll start 3 weeks from yesterday.
What was the name?
Megan Davids. So any questions about my written report?
Just a question. I know we have some new part-time people too. Do we have names for those?
Oh, yes, we do. I'm sorry. Thank you for the question. Liz Kitchens informed me that, we are approved for 4 part-time positions, which she said means that, I could schedule for up to 4 people at the same time, which we'll never do, but we're able to have a larger pool of part-time employees, so I decided to, hire, a replacement for Denise, but then hire 2 additional people, which will provide additional flexibility in scheduling. And so those 3 people we hired are Michelle Swanstrom. She has been in Mitchell for a while. She has children in the high school. And she's, I know, substitute taught at the school district. Amber Harris, who is relatively new to Mitchell, moved to Mitchell from Nebraska, and then a high school student at Mitchell Christian, Ella Popsel. So they all have started. Ella's been there once, but they all started in the last 2 weeks too.
Thanks, Kevin.
And then we also have written reports from Zach and Jean Patrick. So if you have any questions for Zach or any questions about Jean's report, I'll try to answer those questions. Or I will answer those questions. I won't try.
Okay, one question I guess I do have, since Ada resigned, we've always been able to do, along Jean Patrick, the bilinguals. Are we going to be able to continue that program at all?
Well, not as we've been doing it. That was a benefit that Ada being on staff provided. If you noticed I think Jean may try to do something bilingual. And in her report, I believe, let's see, story time. She wrote here for Saturday story time, at the June 29th story time, a native Chinese speaker taught us a variety of words in Mandarin. So I think that she will, continue to, look for possibilities. But having a consistent, same person there, probably won't be happening.
There aren't any other Spanish-speaking staff?
No. No. And, there may be, Jean has a number of contacts and, just knows lots of people who come into the library, and there may be some, of our Hispanic patrons who, if she would feel comfortable asking if they would volunteer or do something like that, that may be something that we can do again. Any other questions?
Any questions for Zach or Jean Patrick's report, or complete as printed?
That was my question for Gene too,
Yeah.
so it's funny. He said the same thing.
I'll just highlight a couple things from statistics. The numbers are there, but I'll show the graph side of things. Circulation has continued to grow this year, and if you look in the top graph that I'm displaying on the screen, our June circulation was about 1,800 higher than May, and by far, since I started in 2020, by far the largest monthly circulation. And we are we're currently, I think, on track to have about 12,000 a month average circulation this year. So,
Awesome.
we'll see if, but, January was 11,000, almost 500. February is down, but nearly 12,000 in March. 250 shy of 12,000 in April. May was nearly 12,500 and over 14,000 in June. So,
You mentioned 2 days when we had extreme attendance at the library. People coming
yes,
through. What caused the group to come in on the 26th of June?
let me go
So
back
that was
up
the
to
highest
that.
number we'd ever had.
Both of those days were, I think the May 29th day was one of our kickoff days, our first kickoff day for summer reading, and, Jean had, both of those days we had events scheduled. The first one was the GOAT, and so, but we had many more people this year than in the past for that first day. And then on the June 26th, that was the art bus, traveling art bus event. And, one thing, there were so many people, the bus was outside in the parking lot, but they also had some events in the community room. And so, there were people going, the groups were split up, and so then some people came into the library, went into the community room for that portion, and then went out to the bus, and then came back in. So, there were some duplicates, but that's no different from any of you who may come in twice to the library in one day. We do have people who come in. So, they came into the library multiple times that day for a purpose, to use the library. So, but it's the highest, again, by far. So, yeah.
That's great.
Any other questions for Kevin, or? Zach or Jean?
So is there anything specific that you attribute the increase in circulation to, or just?
Zach's been tracking those numbers too.
I mean, a portion of it is the sharing of our overdrive collection. That's a big part of it. I mean, that's gaining circulation that wasn't there previously, but I mean, overall, our circulation is up library-wide.
Cool.
In my report, I think we're adult fiction as,
Yeah.
yeah, 4 of the 5 adult fiction sections are up. Romance being up 40% this year compared to where we were last year.
In need of some romance.
I don't know the number specific for jeans because I don't keep those on my dashboard, but the one thing that shocked me, looking at my numbers, young adult print circulation, which for the last almost 8 years has slowly been, not slowly, it's been bottoming out pretty heavily, is up 11.2% compared to last year. That was the big surprise to me. So, I mean, library-wide, things are good.
Yeah.
Big growth this year.
I mean, I think with the events, the programs that we've held this summer, I mean, we often see people come to the event and then afterward they go
Sure.
look for something to check out.
Sure.
And, that certainly is I would say the case from June. I mean, we had a number of events and we had more people, come in for a couple of events and, so more people, more items checked out. But, I mean, it's been up, as you can see, this year, the dark blue columns, each month was pretty higher. But some of that growth, again, as Zach said, is attributed to sharing of our digital collection statewide. But even so, I mean, I looked at some of the children's numbers too, and circulation of some of the children's various collections, print collections are higher as well. So we're seeing both increases in both print and digital circulation.
Cool.
It's gonna be good here.
Okay. If there are no further questions on the director's report, can I request approval?
Also move.
I'll second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed and passed. Okay, on to the financial report and approval of bills.
Okay, I have 2 bills to present. Both of them are for the sales tax fee amounts for the last 2 months, May and June, and you can see those there. So for both months, a total of $86.04. So I don't know if you want to
Do we need a
do a motion
motion
to
for
approve.
that, or-
Yeah, approve the bills first and then approve or if you just want to do it all.
I think we should be able to do it in one motion.
Okay.
Because these are pretty
Okay.
basic.
So, just a question about that. Is that, I mean, do you need to ask us every month?
Well, I guess anytime that, the way I've been doing it since started, I've always asked for approval, request for funding, so request for permission to spend money beforehand, or if there was something that was spent or we wrote a check for something and, you gave me the permission, the authority to spend up to $500 on an item, but then I've always bring that for approval. So I guess anytime that there's money being spent out of the checkbook,
Okay.
I feel I should ask for, the approval either beforehand or after.
Okay.
In city council, they always, before a bill an invoice is actually paid, the city council approves it. I mean, we haven't followed that. I mean, and
Okay.
If we could pay our taxes out of our city budget, which we can't, you wouldn't need approval, but since it comes from
Yeah,
Board
because,
check.
yeah, because the money from the book sale goes into the board account. So, I mean,
Gotcha. Okay.
the sales tax. I mean, I guess if you all are comfortable, but that may be something where when the whole board is here, that could be something that you would approve, that we just pre-approve paying the sales tax each month so that we don't have to bring it back.
I think that'd be a great idea. You have to pay it. I mean,
Yeah.
it's not like we're gonna say,
Yeah.
no, you can't pay the sales
Right.
tax.
Yeah.
Would you put that on a future agenda for
Okay.
us then when we have full board?
Okay.
Thank you.
And then the traditional or standard reports, the bank statements for May. We ended that month at 102,804.20 cents. And then the June bank statement, those 2 months, we ended lower, 100,452. We, for summer reading program, I mean, we typically are spending more money in the summer on the programming and paying the performers and that type of thing. So that's the bank statements. And then for May, our profit loss, we ended up having, spending $1,009,985 more than we took in. Let me see, that was again mainly due to programming. And then in June, we spent, $2,700 more than we took in. But as you recall, you approved purchasing 4 computers, and that was.
Have you done that?
Yes, and that's been paid. The 3740 is there, right here where I'm moving the mouse. So we're still waiting. Andrew and IT hasn't gotten them all
Oh.
ready for us yet because there's been some server issues that have taken precedence, and but we will get those put into use.
So they're not being used yet?
No, they're still over here waiting to get some software installed. And then this is the first 6 months, I mean, the year to date through June, and we have seen a net income of almost $5,100 compared to $6,880 last year. But again, we had that 3740 in computers. So had we not spent that technology, we'd have over 8,800 more. And then where we are budget-wise, I'm just still, Emma. We're halfway through. This is the end of June of our budget expenditures, and we're just right around 50% for our salary lines. And repair and maintenance, we've already spent the $1,500, but we've spent 172 over that. Supplies, materials, we're right at 50% left. Postage, we're at almost at 50%. E-books and e-audiobooks, we're at 50%. Database, I think subsequent to June and in July, we got a invoice for the newspaper archive database. So that will go from 33% spent to most of it spent. And down here for books, as of June, our book budget, we need to, spend a little bit more, but we will, once we get through programming for the summer, then that will be a focus. that's financial reports and the request to approve those bills.
I'll move to approve the financial report and paying of bills.
Second?
I second it.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Carried.
So is that A and B on here? Take care of?
No, that's,
No, that's number 6.
That was number 6.
Oh, not that business. Never mind.
Okay, business items, item 7, annual meeting actions. I'll turn it over to Kevin.
Okay. It is July. It is our July meeting, and per the state statute and our bylaws, it's time to elect new officers. And so I'll just let you all know that I asked Denny if he would be willing to serve again, and he said yes. So I
would like to nominate Denny for president of the board.
Hey, what's that say? Wish to close nomination?
well, okay, so nomination of Nath by Temple. And then are you, Deb, making a motion to close nominations and elect him by acclamation?
Yes.
Okay.
That's exactly what I meant.
All right.
What he said.
What he said. Cease
Okay,
nomination.
and then are you seconding it?
I'm seconding that.
Okay. Okay, I'll write that, okay.
How do you say that?
So, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, I'll turn it back over to President Nath to elect
Elect
Vice
a
President.
vice president.
And I also I talked to Denny, and he said he was comfortable if Diana would continue, and I asked Diana, and she said she would be fine with continuing. So that's my report there, so you can call for nominations.
Okay, I'll call for nominations for vice president.
Okay, I nominate Diana as vice president.
And I, how should I say it? Call to close nominations.
And, okay,
Cease and cast a unanimous ballot.
yes.
Yeah.
I second that. If you need a second.
Yes, because there was a motion.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Carried. Unanimously.
Did you look up our years too, perhaps? Like, when am I done? When do I
Let me show you something.
I'm curious too.
I don't know. I never kept track and
I had noticed, well, I was looking for the bylaws, and noticed that we didn't have a link to our bylaws, and we really didn't have any information about the board and who's on the board. So I created a new page.
oh, look at you.
And so the Board of Trustees is a volunteer governmental body made up of 5 mayoral city council appointed members and 1 city council representative. And so I have that. So I'll just leave this because, I mean, when I did it, Denny and Diana were the officers. So you were just reappointed, the 3 of you, back in June, if you recall.
Good to know.
Yeah. I think I know who
I think I
reappointed you.
do, now that you mention it.
So, yeah. So somehow we got off on having someone expire in 26.
Term expired.
Yeah, whose term expires. So, so instead of having, 2 people's terms expire 1 year, 2 people's terms expire in the next year, and 1 person's the next year, let this work. So if you ever want to know when your term
Where?
expires, you can come to the library's webpage and go under the library board. And then
Thank
I
you.
have a link to, where the agendas are and a link to the board bylaws.
Thank you.
Thank
I
you,
wasn't
Kevin.
sure because I started by finishing somebody else's
Yeah.
term. Can't remember that year either.
Is there is a total number after which you have to retire from the board, is it after 9 years?
3 terms,
Three
yeah,
terms.
I checked that too.
And they're
Yeah,
three,
it's 3 terms.
three-year terms.
So, yes. And so I think Ann is you're on your 3rd,
Probably.
and I believe, Denny, this is your 3rd, you're starting your 3rd
I
Yeah.
believe I-
as well.
Yeah, because I think I started when Bob started
Yeah.
as mayor, so.
And Deb, you were,
Was that first term where I finished somebody's term count then?
it wasn't a full term.
Okay.
I don't, so,
I just don't want to get in trouble.
yeah.
Look, if Ann and I leave at the end of 2027, we're going to need some experience on the board, so.
Well, I don't mind, I just wondered, I'm not trying to run out the door.
That's still 3 years away.
Right, yes.
Oh, did I? Oh, did I put these in the wrong order? Oh, no. So, that agenda item's done. We have new officers. Oh, but the other thing, Denny, that we need to do is also set the meeting date for the 2024, 2025.
Okay. In the past, we've gone the third Tuesday of the month at 5:15. Does that work for the board members here?
Yes.
It's
Yeah.
work for me.
I did have some, and I told her I would share, I had some email communication with Susan Sharks today. She said she would prefer an earlier time, like a noon or earlier in the day, but she can make this time work. It's, and Deb, I don't know that you would want a noon meeting
Prefer not,
with,
because I
with
never
your
know
work
when I get
schedule.
my lunch.
Yeah, so.
Make
I-
arrangements.
I know that, there are some boards, like the Huron Library Board meets over the noon hour. I don't know if they're, everybody who's on that board is retired or if they just make it work. But
How about Emma and Diana?
I wouldn't think that Diana would want
I
a
think she'd
noon
want to
meeting
wait
because, she's still working and I assume Emma's busy too, or.
One good thing about going through the COVID time, we're able to attend by Zoom if we need to be, if we're out of state or gone somewhere. And that's, I know, helped me out a number of times.
The other thing I asked Susan about is, if I, just suggested to, anybody want to change it like to the second Tuesday, which, there've been a few times when we've had a conflict because when the city council, with meeting on Monday and like in January, Martin Luther King Jr. holiday, then their meeting gets pushed back until the 3rd Tuesday, which then we've had to change. But she said on second Tuesday, she has like Park and Rec board meetings, so, she wouldn't be able to do that. I think they meet the second Tuesday at 5 or whatever, so I think the 3rd Tuesday and then accommodating those couple of times, holidays in January and February, we don't necessarily have to worry about President's Day because we do training that month, and if we just decide not to do it, then, so.
Okay, so
Well, just want to add that mostly our meetings are succinct and done by 6 and 6:15, so I think that that's very helpful for me, because I agree, earlier I prefer, but I understand why 5:15 is better for you than 5 o'clock. But again, things are mostly very efficient, and we're
I
mostly
mean, you
done.
could put it at 5, and if I can't get her by 5, I'll just come late, but whatever.
like a day like today, we won't have a quorum if we weren't here, so.
Right.
I would prefer to stay at the 5:15
Yeah,
start.
and like I said, I'm fine with that. I think Kevin is very organized, and I always appreciate that, and
And do we have to state that we're going to stay with the 6 meetings a year rather than 12? since it's.
Yeah, and I think, yeah, if everybody okay with that too?
Yeah, I think that's very,
So,
I think that's great.
Right.
Do
Yeah,
we need to move, do we need to make a motion?
probably.
Well, I will move that we keep the meeting times, third Tuesday at 5:15, with the meetings on the
Odd
odd
numbered
months
months.
and training on the even months. At Kevin, the training is kind of at Kevin's discretion,
Yeah.
with input from the board, but
I'll second that.
all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Carried.
Okay.
On to a review of the
Funding request.
funding request, and that will be an action item that we will approve the request or not approve the request as we hear it.
So we have 3 funding requests. 2 are from Zach, 1 is from Jean. They're pretty much all for about the same, each one's for about $500. The one from Jean is for the annual Read for the Record. That is, we've been doing now the last number of years. It's in October, and we purchase copies of the book. And, you know, that's a nationwide or worldwide event. Everybody reads the same book that day. And then we provide copies of that book to people. So that is funding request for $475 for the books and shipping for that. Zach is requesting $500, and we very likely won't need all of it because he's just requested some leeway for if there's extra shipping. And so $500 to buy some additional shelving for our board game.
Yes.
Do you want to say anything?
I wish that I could pull up the graph that I've got on my computer, but we've kind of seen 2023, after starting the collection in 22, there was a sharp increase in 23, and since then, we've kind of had this steady upward curve. And just to avoid stagnation, since the collection is so new, I do want to expand the shelving to add at least another 30 games to the collection. I mean, there's new stuff coming out constantly. So that is part of it. I will say the $100 shipping / freight, I asked Kevin for that number from the last time that we bought them. I priced out what it would be, and it appears that shipping is going to be lower this year, about the $60, $70 range. However, because I'm cautious, I would still request the $100 for shipping / freight because I do believe that it has to take the slow boat to get here.
So, I mean, it could be actually less than $450.
Sure,
You know, could end up, but just having a little
gotcha.
extra. And then the other request that Zach is putting forward is for funding for a program with author Arlie Badness from Sioux Falls.
Yes. Arlie published his, I believe I have the title in here somewhere.
It's right there.
The Ku Klux Klan in South Dakota. It came out earlier this year. He did one event at Siouxland to the point that they had to create a waiting list and have him come back in August. Normally, we would request Arlie through the South Dakota Humanities Council. Unfortunately, I believe it was in like May, Deb at Humanities Council informed me that their Speakers Bureau fund is depleted fully. So Arlie reached out to me. We're going to kind of work out more specifics for costs because if we were to book Arlie through the Humanities Council, we would get approved. In that case, we would cover travel, lodging, and that kind. But I'm still working with him to figure out specifics. He plans on selling books at the event, so he's not planning on requesting like an honorarium, but I probably provide one to him since it has just been standard procedure for us. And then also covering costs for travel at federal rate per mile, so. But the 500 is just to give us some padding. I expect the cost to come significantly below that $500 number. So,
What have we typically given speakers, like 200, I was thinking?
Well, if we get someone through the Humanities Council, we only have to pay $50, and then, I don't know what the Humanities Council pays them.
yeah, Humanities Council, after we do their mini grant, we pay them the 50, they cover travel, lodging, author fees. That comes from them, because it's part of National Endowment for the Humanities, so they cover those kinds of events. We're in weird territory with Humanities Council, because I don't think in the 4.5 years that I've done this, that fund has ever depleted. And their fiscal year doesn't end until October.
Ooh.
So,
Well, September 30th,
Yeah.
I think they're on the federal government. Are they on?
October
Oh.
is what it is. It's like, they're on a weird fiscal year schedule. So, it's, yeah.
It is what it is.
It sounds like a very interesting program.
It does.
How are we going to advertise it so people know he's coming, I guess?
So, pretty much our normal channels, Facebook, we plan on doing a press release. Humanities Council does a great job of providing templates, and I'll probably use their template for this and just cut out the Humanities Council language. I believe, at least I hope it ended up in the paper. It's kind of inconsistent sometimes whether it does or not. I will try to get it in the paper. I don't know if anyone saw that the book discussion we had yesterday was in there or not. It's been kind of hit and miss.
I think it was in the calendar.
Okay,
Yeah.
yeah. So, but.
And we can get it, we can get it on the radio, we can submit an
Yes.
announcement to, like, South Dakota Public Broadcasting, and they, on their events, and, they sometimes read those, pick certain ones to highlight too. So,
But I will say that some of the publicity for the author, at the top, the one book, the South Dakota discussion we had yesterday worked. I had a gentleman from Iroquois come. So, so yeah. Well, and it's just kind of I have my outlets that I usually go to kind of see what happens and go from there. But yeah, I do believe the press release that I did for the one book went to paper at the radio stations as well. So,
Good. Thank you.
And we have extra money already budgeted for board games, for new board games?
we still have money in our, in our AV account.
Okay.
Yeah, so
I was
we,
just
yeah,
wondering,
we
if you
can
buy
purchase-
shelves and don't have the budget.
Yeah, no, we
Might
can,
look really bad.
we can, yeah, I mean, between the rest of this year, depending on how long it takes, I mean, the last time when we bought the original shelving, we waited a long time. Hopefully, the ownership of that shelving is different now, it's under new ownership, and
Yes,
hopefully
it
it
is
doesn't
under
take,
new ownership.
it doesn't take as long to get, but, we,
Has that been working out pretty well with the games? I mean, are the pieces of the game coming back, and how's that going?
it's been really well. I mean, we've had probably a handful of them come back with missing pieces, but so far, the ones that we have had issues with are publishers who will provide us with replacement pieces for minimal or even free, because I think we had one where we paid maybe $5.
for some additional parts, or some, we requested replacement parts and they sent them for free,
Yeah.
so.
That's good.
That has, yes, so yes, it has worked out.
And there have been a couple where if it's like the little cubes or that kind of thing, I've just printed replacements on the 3D printer, so it's been coming in handy for that as well.
I'll make the motion to approve the funding request for the shelving and the author and, what did Jean?
The books are read for
The
the.
books, of course, the books.
And I'll second that.
All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, carried.
And we'll hope it doesn't cost $500.
Okay, on to House Bill 1197 discussion.
Okay.
Are we ready for
See,
that?
no.
Yeah, I got an email from Emma saying that she was in a meeting that lasted longer, so she wasn't going to make it. So I am going to just go ahead and
I'll do the budget.
stop the Zoom meeting.
Okay.
And then then my little face won't be on that screen. So I haven't completely finalized, or, I mean, we haven't, been given the exact date of when we have to submit budget requests yet, our 2025 budget requests, but, I pretty much, for the library, we do the same thing year after year. We purchase books, we subscribe to magazines, we have the databases, and so we pay the utility bills, and so it's pretty much the same. I will note, the two largest items that I'm requesting increases to are part-time staffing, and I'm requesting an additional 9,500. You've seen our circulation numbers and our programming, and our, traffic counts have been going up, and we are busier, and it's cheaper, in my justification I'm writing that, it would be cheaper to have extra help, to have some additional part-time hours to help cover that, rather than, request another full-time person. Eventually, we do want to have another full-time person who would, we could then split programming of, teens, YA, to that person, and have one person focus on adult and the adult collection, and one person focus on teen and teen collection. But at this point, I don't think we're quite ready for that leap. But having extra part-time help. So that's the big request. Some of the other items, professional services or postage, up 75, 100. Our Minitex fees, which is our subscription for cataloging and interlibrary loan, that asking for additional $800 based on our billing this year. Database is 250 additional periodicals, 250 additional just to cover, increased rates. And then utilities based on usage, that I'm asking $875 more. Postage has been going up. You all know that. I'm asking for a little bit more than that. And then the big thing under furniture, equipment, $70,000 is, and I don't necessarily expect it will be approved this year, but I figure start asking for it a number of years, and eventually. And I think this will also be part of something that in the strategic planning that, will be part of this. I envision and hope that we will include, better marketing for the library, including a sign, and that $70,000 is for a sign along Sanborn. If you drive, around other city buildings like the rec center, public safety, police, fire department, James Valley Community Center, they have signs along the street that people can easily find, oh, that's where it is. For the library, we do have lettering on the building, the aluminum colored lettering that on the brick that, isn't the easiest to read from Sanborn. I've requested a quote from a sign company, haven't gotten it yet, but the number that I put in, I got, if you noticed, First Lutheran Church's new digital sign, and I asked someone who I know there, who works there, and she provided the number that they paid for the sign. So that's the placeholder number that I'm putting in for that, so.
Very cool sign.
Yeah, and, if we have on the top, just, the city logo, or the city public Mitchell Public Library, and then the bottom half of it would be a digital sign that we can then market our programming in events. That would be something. So, again, first year to ask for it, we'll see what happens. So any questions about the budget proposal for next year? So I think, even though I put it as a review, I think probably it should be something where you do approve the request so that, because that is one of our bylaw items that and statute items, the board is supposed to approve the annual budget, or at least approve the annual budget request.
I'll make that motion to approve the library budget request
Do I have a
to the
second?
city.
I will second it.
Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed and carried. The request is approved.
Thank you.
Now on to the household.
Okay, I think I have introduced this to you before, or did I not? Did we touch on this in May?
We talked
Yeah,
about it. I
yeah.
don't remember.
Since then, because then later in May, after the May meeting, we had a meeting with, librarians, had a meeting with the state librarian who, went over some things about what is possible. And since then, and in June, some of the larger library directors had some email discussions on, anybody come up with something yet, or talk to their city attorney, and what a lot of folks were kind of leaning towards is to add something in their circulation, or in their in a policy, in their collection development policy and circulation policy, is that parents, the library cannot, be overseeing children, and the parents are responsible for what information their children access. And I sent some sample language to that in that regard to Justin, our city attorney, and he responded that, that doesn't necessarily address the specific language of the new statute, of publish, develop and implement a local policy that establishes measures to restrict minors from accessing obscene material or matters or material. I thought it did, but, attorneys interpret things as attorneys do. And so he and I got together, and what he ultimately suggested is we can use our current challenge process, complaint process about a material as the kind of procedures for meeting the requirements of this statute. That we, because he said also the law uses the legal definition of what is obscene based on the Miller test, and I have that included here, which is a very narrow test. It has to meet all three prongs of the Miller test to be considered obscene, and that's a very limited amount of material, and we're not going to
don't purchase it, so.
Yeah, I mean, because, I mean, taken as a whole, the material that we purchase is, has serious literary, artistic, political, or scientific value. So, what he's saying is that we just use our collection, our current expressions of concern about library resources, procedures, and form, and then we use that. We don't have to restrict it ahead of time, he says, based on his reading of the new statute, that if, and we don't have to review everything. Our review process will be someone in the public making this complaint, and then we would review it and go through the process that we have. Then that is less work for us, because there are some other states, they've passed laws where then they've pulled hundreds of books off the shelves and thousands of books off the shelves, and it's taken how many hours, tens, hundreds of hours of staff time to review the materials, and they still don't know if what they're doing is correct or not, and this seems to be a much more reasonable approach.
I know, it's the state of Florida has had a terrible time with challenges.
Yeah. And so I wanted to share that with you and Justin's approach and see if you're all, as library board, because, you approve policy, if that is a direction that you're comfortable going, then I'll start, it probably will only take a very limited number of sentences to add into our collection development policy, if we go that
All
way.
sounds reasonable to me.
That sounds, I'm in favor.
Okay, so,
Because usually if somebody is complaining, it's a small part of a book.
yeah,
And here it says it has to be, whatever it said, the matter taken as a whole. I mean, I can't really think that there's going to be a
Yeah.
ton of complaints. And then we already have software on the computers, don't we?
yes, yeah. I mean, when we, with the grant that we got from the state library, the ARPA grant that we got from the state library, and we, used some of the funds there to purchase computers, then we were required to purchase or have software or filtering software. And so we actually, when we purchased a new firewall, we purchased the filtering component for that. So we are filtering it at the edge and, sure, yeah. Okay, so.
Need a motion on that?
No, I just wanted to have a discussion and get your kind of, kind of straw poll, get your opinions and see if you're all comfortable with that approach. Then I'll start working on drafting an update. But, we need to get it done because with only, now we'll have 2 more meetings before the deadline of January 1st. So, I want to make sure we're moving
Well,
ahead
we're going with what
appropriately.
the attorney says, so
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we're going in the right direction.
Good.
Okay, on to item E, action update library hours.
Last year, I made a proposal that we change hours, from our winter hours from 10 to 9 to 9 to 8, and that's gone very well. And at that time, we didn't propose anything to change our Friday hours and move Friday from, we were open 10 to 6, and we just said, well, we'll open an hour earlier on Friday and still continue being open until 6. We have found this past year that, that last hour, 5 to 6 on a Friday, we don't have that much traffic. And so I think it would be better to, close at 5, and the real benefit of that will be then that all of the staff can work 8 to 5 on Fridays, and we can actually have a time that we have the staff meetings again. Because quite honestly, I mean, it's, just communication hasn't, I've tried to keep staff informed by email on, some things, but we haven't been able to have, regular staff meetings at all with everybody there. And this would allow us for that. And I mean, that's one of the biggest, that's even a bigger reason for doing this. And we still will be open the same number of hours that we were previous. I mean, we went up 1 hour because of that extra hour on Fridays. But we will still be open 63 hours, which is, for our winter hours, which is what we've
Do staff come at 8
historically.
then?
Yeah.
Not 9,
They come, yeah. Now, when we went to the 9 to 8, then staff, they used to work 9 to 6, and now they work 8 to 5, and they, because there's still things, books have been returned overnight. We collect the books when the books return. If process any overdue notices in that hour before we open and do that type of thing. Jean gets ready for story time before the doors open, so. Any questions about that? Or any questions, comments, thoughts?
I think it's reasonable. People don't go to the library Friday after school, I don't think.
One thing I realized that I did not put in this proposal was this would take place when we
After
switch
Labor
to
Day?
winter hours.
Is that Labor Day when you do that?
Yeah, so the Tuesday after Labor Day, that week after Labor Day, we would make that change when we change to our winter hours. So then we could already update the, our postings about the hours, and then when we switch, it'll just have already been communicated.
Entertain a motion?
I'll move to update the library hours as proposed.
Second?
So, sorry, one more question.
Sure, by all means.
9 to-
After the second, we'll get it.
Yeah.
Discussion.
9 to 6, or Tuesday through Thursday in the summer, so that would remain till 6 PM.
Yes, yeah,
Okay.
yeah. And we do have, in the summertime,
These people
we
are
we
getting
do,
off work.
yeah, people do, yeah.
Okay, sorry, second it, whatever.
Any further discussion?
I just want to make sure that wasn't a typo or something.
Right. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed and carried. Committee reports.
In my director's report, I mentioned about, strategic planning, and nothing really to report on that. I need to find a time coming up for the committee to get back together and start reviewing.
In August, you're thinking, or
Yeah,
September?
I think,
August.
well, it would be good to get going in August, yeah. Originally, we planned on ending the survey, at the beginning of May, but, we let it go almost a month and a half later, but because of that, we got 130 extra responses, which I think was good.
Any board input?
Thank you, Denny, for agreeing to serve as our president for another year.
Agree.
I appreciate that. You do a great job.
I'd like to commend the library too on their programming, increase in circulation going up. That's a feather in the hat for the workers and for the director.
Yes,
Zach's done a wonderful job, I truly believe.
I agree. Lucky to have you guys.
And lots of good response from the program out at the Indian Village, where I think 200 kids and parents showed up, and it was
Yeah.
huge.
It was a good
It
group,
was
yeah.
a good program.
That's a lot.
Okay, no citizens input as there's no one else present. Any further?
We do have citizens input.
Oh, okay.
Less citizens input and more of just a thank you. Earlier this year, I let Kevin know that this would probably be my last partner took a job in Michigan. And,
Finish grad school.
yeah, finished grad school, thankfully. But things are progressing really quick, and I don't know a timeline, but I just want to say thank you to all of you. You guys have been a wonderful board.
Very
Oh,
sad.
That's sad.
That's very
yeah.
sad, very sad. But
So are you talking like by the end of the year, or you don't know even that much yet?
I don't have specifics, but we'll see if I'm here for our September board meeting.
Okay.
There's no way we can refuse to accept his resignation.
I don't know, can you do like, I know in the school district for like extracurricular activities, they accept the resignation pending a
Pending
suitable
suitable
replacement. Can we do that?
that's going to be difficult.
Trust me, if I could get back between wherever it is in Michigan, we end up in here rather quickly, I would do it, but, so far, things are going well, but we'll see.
All we can say is, when you do leave, you will be missed.
Yes.
Right.
And thank you for all you've done to
Okay,
for
then,
the library, yeah.
adjourn the meeting at 6:18, and the next board meeting should be the third Tuesday of September, which would be September 17th.
Yes, I hadn't, written that down because I wasn't sure if we were going to keep the same meeting schedule or not, but yeah, next meeting time will be, September 17th at 5:15, 9/17 at 5:15, City Hall.
And then do we have any training coming up?
Yeah, I guess, do you want to have a training session in August yet, in the summer, or do you want to keep your summer free yet?
What would be the date, I think?
For the 3rd, it would be the 20th. The other thing, I would maybe like to hold off. Diane may end up having surgery, I don't know, and so we don't know if she ends up having surgery. She wants to wait until kind of later August or earlier, in about 2 months from now or so, which would probably be in September, not in August. But I mean, I think we could probably forego August and then hit October.
Yeah, that sounds fine.
Sounds good.
I mean, because we've had a number of hours, this year.
Meeting adjourned.
All right,
Thank you.
thanks much. Well, good luck to you, Zach.